Aloha everyone, this is our Hawaiian Volcano summary for July 3rd, 2024. It's been 1 month since Kilauea's most recent eruption, but the volcano has recharged quickly since then. As a result, over the final 4 days of June 2024, Kilauea's earthquake counts spiked with over 1,450 earthquakes in the summit region. These events began on the afternoon of June 27th with a 90-minute flurry on the Upper East Rift Connector, headlined by a magnitude 3.4, before resuming in earnest the next day. The earthquake rate further escalated on June 29, quote, reaching a peak of approximately 30 events per hour around midnight. The largest of these events were 4 magnitude 3.0 earthquakes that occurred near the intersection between Chena Craters Road and Helena Pali Road in Hawaiʻi Volcanoes National Park, around depths of 1.4 to 3 kilometers, or 1 to 1.8 miles, according to the USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory. Status reports and daily updates. The next day, activity shifted marginally back toward the summit, focusing the area between Kenakako'i and Ko'oko'olau craters, and featuring a magnitude 3.2 earthquake. By July 2nd, earthquake rates returned to the slightly elevated background rate present before the spike in activity. With a slight delay, ground tilt monitors paused their long-term inflation around the summit during a peak in activity on June 29th and 30th, but have since resumed their increase as earthquakes have quieted down. The Uikahuna signal is also recovering from recent maintenance. Over the past week, GPS stations have shown added uplift on the Upper East Rift Connector, continued uplift in the South Caldera, but a reversal to small-scale subsidence in the main caldera, and the Upper Southwest Rift Connector, uphill of its recent eruption site. Satellite radar imagery for the 2 weeks just prior to the onset of elevated seismicity show continued inflation in the South Caldera and along the trace of the June 3rd intrusion. Similar to the first week following the eruption. Here's the first week and the eruption. Altogether, this is just magma ceased moving toward the recent eruption site around the same time as a new pulse of intrusion into the Upper East Rift Connector and Kauai Fault Zone. Enough to raise the ground by at least 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters at Devo's Throat, Puhimau, and Ahua within the past week. This returns Kilauea to the pattern exhibited before the recent eruption, with many starts and stops of elevated seismicity, pulses of intrusion in the South Caldera, Kauai, and Southwest Rift, and generally great swelling as magma supply to the volcano continues robustly. While similar activity in the past also grew to include eruptions in the Southeast Rift Connector and eventually the Middle East Rift Zone, for now there is no increased threat to people living near Kilauea's Lower East Rift. The greatest present hazard remains volcanic emissions, still within background rates of 75 tons of sulfur dioxide measured per day on June 28th, but sufficient to affect sensitive individuals nearby. The prognosis from USGS HVO remains that, quote, changes in the character and location of unrest can occur quickly, as can a potential for eruption, but there are no signs of an imminent eruption at this time, unquote. Mauna Loa remains quiet, continuing to recharge in normal pattern with relatively few earthquakes and sustained slow inflation following its 22 eruption. That's a summary for this week. Mahalo.